Okay. Well, okay, with that, thank you guys. There's 50 people in here. Thank you guys for being here. So this event is going to be the Day of Debates 10 event, when ideas clash again. I have four debates for you guys tonight. It's going to be like really awesome, and I appreciate you guys being here. If you can, in order to support the live, please tap your screens, like the live, and share the live with anyone who you think might be interested. In regards to like the four debates that I have planned for tonight, first one is going to be OG Kylo versus Mersault, God exists. Second one's going to be J-Rob versus Missy, the Christian God is logically possible. That's going to start at 7:35 p.m. to 8:37 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Next one we got is Theosophical Wonderings versus Styx. Does fine-tuning favor naturalism or theism? That's going to be at 8:52 p.m. to 10:14 p.m. And then the last debate we have for the night is going to be CF Jewel versus El Sirloin on a creator is necessary for our universe. And that's going to be at 10:29 to 11:31 p.m. tonight. So we got like four really good debates that are going to be happening tonight, which are going to be like really awesome. And yeah, I appreciate you guys supporting me. This was a lot to set up, and then yeah, there was a lot of editing done for the promo videos. In regards to like gifts, I know that right now we're in tough times. The economy is not doing so well, so I just really appreciate you guys being here. But please gift the debaters and the judges first. It's awesome that they're here and helping out with the project. And then if you have anything extra, gift Day of Debates. All gifts that we get are used to reinvest into the project. And everybody up here is going to use the gifts to reinvest into their personal projects and their personal channels. So gifts are really appreciated, but you don't have to do gifts. We understand that we're in a financial crisis right now. We just appreciate you guys being here. So with that being said, we're going to start with OG Kylo's debate. The format, according to my notes that I have on my computer, it's going to be 7-minute openers, 9-minute cross examinations, and 3-minute closers. And there's going to be 2 rounds of cross examination. And our judges are going to be Kason, Peter, and Mob. Thank you, Peter, for judging. I really appreciate you. You followed me. I followed you back on my main account. The Controversial Compass. And honestly, with that, I don't got any further announcement. Everyone good to go?
Yep.
Yeah.
Marisol, do you want to go first, or how does this work?
The
No,
affirmative
you
goes
can go
first.
first since you're like giving the affirmative.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna put a timer on you via TikTok. Um, and yeah, your timer will start whenever you're ready to go.
Okay. Alrighty. So yeah, we can go first. Obviously, shout out KG. Big shout out to KG. But so hello everyone. In this debate, I'll be debating Marisol, and we'll be debating about God's existence. So I'll take God to be the creator of the universe, who is omniscient and omnipotent. I want to get clear on like some win conditions and my burden, just so we understand what's happening here. So my burden is simply to provide a sound arguments for the proposition God exists and to resolve some of the objections that he levies against that proposition. In my first two cross-examinations, I'm going to argue that there is a necessary being who created the universe. And my final two cross-examinations, I'm going to argue that this being possesses two omniproperties, omniscience and omnipotence. For my opponent to win, he's going to have to either refute the argument in such a manner where I don't have a response, or he could provide an adequate argument in favor of the proposition being false. I want to thank the judges. They came on a short notice, but they're here. Audience, thank you guys for being here. That's really, you guys are the real doing the heavy lifting, given that this is able to be public. You guys spread the word. Make sure you guys, big shout out to Coco, W host. Shout out to the judges. And I appreciate Marisol for taking this opportunity to discuss with me. And that, with that being said, I won't be too long-winded with my opening. I'll let him go ahead.
Oh, okay, and you're concluding your opening?
Yep.
Bet. And with that, that's going to conclude OG Kylo's opening. Now, Mersol, you're going to get your 7 minutes to do your opening, and then we'll get into cross-examinations. So your 7 minutes will start whenever you say your first word.
Good evening, everyone. Today I'm quite excited. This is going to be my first formal debate while being live. So today, we're not going to debate whether it is possible to define God or whether philosophical language can be used to describe one. We're debating something much more specific. Does reality actually require God in order to exist or function? The distinction matters because a concept, no matter how sophisticated, does not become real simply by being defined. Definitions clarify ideas, they do not generate entities. So the central question tonight is not whether a necessary being can be described, the question is whether reality itself structurally depends on such a being. My opponent will likely present a concept of God defined as necessary or pure actuality, that which must exist. I'm happy to grant conceptual definitions for the sake of discussion, but granting definitions does not grant existence. Even if a concept includes necessity as part of its description, that only tells us what would follow if such a thing existed. It does not demonstrate that reality requires it. So tonight, I propose a simple and fair standard. If something is metaphysically necessary or required, removing it should not merely leave reality unexplained, but it should make reality impossible. In other words, necessity is not a label we assign to our favorite concepts. Necessity must be demonstrated by showing that without it, reality collapses into coherence. Classical theistic arguments often preceded by identifying features of the world, change, causation, contingency, dependency, and others, then concluding that they require a transcendental or like a personal creator for such a configuration. But this involves a massive philosophical leap. Even if we grant the universe has a fundamental explanation, it does not follow that the explanation must be a mind, a will, or a person. An external physical state, a structural foundation, or brute but stable configuration would still count as an explanation. Calling any ultimate basis a creator simply because it's foundational risks redefining the conclusion into the premise. The debate tonight is not whether reality has structural constraints. It clearly does. The debate is whether those constraints require a divine agent. When philosophers talk about necessity, we must be precise. True metaphysical necessity is not mysterious substance that something is made of. It is demonstrated by indispensability. Some features appear structurally indispensable, for example, identity or non-contradiction. Remove those and coherent reality becomes impossible. So if God truly is necessary, we should be able to identify a comparable structural role, something that cannot exist, function, or even be coherently described without God. Appealing to tradition, authority, or theological vocabulary does not establish this. Only structural indispensability does. You may also hear that the universe cannot sustain its own existence. That it requires a continuously acting pure act or divine sustainer holding it in being. But this assumes controversial metaphysical premise that existence itself requires an ongoing external actualization. That is not a demonstrated fact. It is an additional philosophical claim. Many statements persist because they achieve internally stable configurations. Their persistence does not require an external sustaining agent. It follows from their structural stability. So, pointing persistence does not establish a divine sustainer. It only shows that reality has achieved a stable form. Throughout this debate, I will ask that we maintain a clear distinction between different kinds of dependence. First, epistemic dependence, what we need to understand, like what we need to understand something, is not the same as causal dependency. Causal dependency is not going to be the same as ontological necessity. These distinctions matter because philosophical arguments sometimes shift between them without notice, creating an illusion of a stronger conclusion than has actually been demonstrated. So I will close with this, a clear challenge. I'm not asking my opponent to present a concept of God that explains reality in an appealing way. I'm asking for something much stronger. Name one specific feature of reality that becomes logically impossible, not merely unexplained, but incoherent if God does not exist. If no such feature can be identified, then God has not been shown to be metaphysically necessary. And if God is not necessary, then the central claim of his thesis hasn't been established. Thank you so much.
Okay. And with that, you guys can hear me, right? With
Yep.
that, that's going to be the end of the openers. Thank you for your openers, guys. They were both really good. Now we're going to move on to the cross-examination. So, Ochi Kylo, you're going to get 9 minutes according to my notes. But hold on, let me check. My laptop is tweaking out. Okay, and I'm getting the timer. Your 9 minutes will start whenever you say your first word.
Alrighty. Let's get into it. Just to preface, let's make sure we're all sharing the stream out, liking the stream. Appreciate you guys all being here once again. I want to just kind of talk a little bit about that opening statement. It was a little redundant. You kind of said the same thing a few times, but you're saying you don't want to simply talk about a concept. You want to talk about this being needed, actually instantiated in the world, and not simply being conceptual. Well, no problem. My argument today is going to definitely establish that. So, like I said, my first two openers, we're going to be talking about the being necessary in the creator. I'm going to do that for my first two opening statements. And once we've established there being a necessary being, and this being the creator of the universe, my last two closing or cross-examinations are going to be about the omni-property. So what I'll do now for this first cross-exam is going to produce an argument for there being a necessary being, and then we're just going to look for any objection. So I'm going to be using a not that known philosophical argument by, I want to say Rushmoon. Can't pronounce his name properly, but it goes as such. Premise 1. If no necessary thing is logically possible, then a set of all contingent states couldn't possibly have an external explanation. Premise 2. The set of all contingent states could possibly have some external explanation. Conclusion 1. Therefore, some necessary thing is possible. Premise 3. A necessary thing is either impossible or necessary. Conclusion 2. Therefore, some necessary thing is necessary. Now, before I let you respond to this, I want to make sure that you understand the argument is valid. And that's if all the premises are true, the argument is sound. I'm willing to give an argument for each individual premise. So with that being said, go ahead and levy your objection.
Okay, for premise 1, are you saying if there are no necessary existence? Can you repeat premise 1?
Yeah, so premise 1 reads, if no necessary thing is logically possible, then the sets of all contingent states couldn't possibly have an external explanation.
You seem to be conflating explanation and necessity here.
What's the argument for that?
Explanations are understood to be external, and
What do
necessity
you
is just
think
a mere
explanation means?
description.
What do you think explanation means here?
I don't know. That's your term.
Okay, so there's a problem given that you've charged me with misusing language, but then you kind of equivocate because you
I'm
don't
not
even wait
equivocating.
1 second, please. You don't even know what I mean by explanation, but you've charged me with using it in the wrong manner. I want to flag that. So I'll explain what's being said here. An external explanation is the type of thing which tells you why something exists. It explains that thing, right? But it's not of what is to be explained. So an external explanation is not of the same category to be explained. Now you're saying I'm conflating an external explanation and a necessary being. I'll tell you why that's not true.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, go ahead.
I said he conflated explanations and necessity.
Okay, well, the argument is talking about a necessary being, not necessity simpliciter. There might be some ambiguity there. But if we just read the argument how I have it, let's not equivocate. So, are you saying premise 1 is false, or should I motivate it?
No, I'm saying, can you clarify the terms?
Okay, so, which term do you need me to clarify to be clear?
Explanation, external explanation, and necessity.
Okay, so explanation, I'll just tell you, external explanation is just going to be something which does the explaining, but not of what is to be explained. Now, explanation is going to be the type of thing, some entity X, maybe you want to say, such that Y cannot exist without X. That is, the existence of Y is conceptually dependent on X. And then you ask for necessity. Well, what it means to be necessary in this given context.
Wait, can you just repeat explanation real quick?
Yeah.
Entity X implies?
So any entity X such that Y cannot exist without X, that is, the existence of Y is conceptually dependent on X. Okay. And then necessity.
Wait, dependent, like causally?
It's dependent not in a causal sense, but in a modal sense. So if that entity is not instantiated, then you'd get a contradiction in some sense. And I could give you an argument for that. So
some sort of entailment.
Not an entailment in a sense where if necessarily X and X explains Y, necessarily Y, you don't get this modal collapse if that's what you're asking about. But
no, what's going to be the difference between the entailment if it's modal, right?
What are you asking?
You just said it's modal, right? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so it's just saying, like, basically, if let's say if entity X doesn't exist, then you couldn't have Y. And the modal sense there is just the term could, right? So it's the type of relation where if one property is not instantiated, the other property couldn't be instantiated in virtue of a contradiction.
So is it like a dependency relation? Like some metaphysical grounding?
Well, I just take dependence to be like, you might want to say Y depends on X if and only if, in every possible world where Y exists, X also exists. Once again, it's a modal type dependence, not a causal type dependence.
So in every possible world where there is X, there's going to be Y?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So is that a logical entailment? Yes or no?
Yeah, correct.
It is? Okay, cool.
Okay, so just getting back to the original argument, should I recapitulate the first premise or are you agreeing with the first premise?
Entailment. Yeah, recapitulate.
No problem. So if no necessary thing is logically possible, then the sets of all contingent states couldn't possibly have an external explanation.
Again, external explanation.
You want me to give an argument for that?
Wait. By external, what do you mean?
Okay, so an external explanation is the type of explanation that's explained but not of the same class. I'll give you an example. Let's say you have dogs and they need to be explained. Well, if dogs are explaining dogs, it wouldn't be external given that what is doing the explaining is of the same class to be explained. But if you switch the reference maybe to a cat, well, now you have some external explanation given that's the reference doing the explaining is not of the same class. Does that make sense?
So, wait, roughly, are you trying to say what we mean by external? We just mean like we don't find it in the nature of that thing?
Well, we don't need to do much nature talk. We can just do category talk. So what is explaining to be explained is not of the category, right? So they're distinct.
Okay, they're distinct. They're separated?
They're not identical in reference to categories.
Okay, so what ties the relation?
What are you asking there?
What ties the relation between the explanation and the thing being explained?
What ties the relation? I don't know what you're asking. I don't know what it means to tie a relation, but I can tell you Yeah, it's not clear what's being asked here.
I mean, I can clarify if you want.
Go ahead.
So, if you're saying like the explanation is gonna be distinct or separate than the thing being explained, we're gonna need some relation between the two things that unifies them.
Well, I can try to answer this way, and you tell me if this answers your question. So, given that this is just law of excluded middle, something's either contingent or necessary, right? Well, do you agree with that?
Something is either contingent or necessary?
That is correct.
You can have necessary contingency. Like
You can
write it out as like not parentheses necessarily P or not P.
If you say
necessarily not P,
if you say that's a contradiction, by the way, you can't
is that a
have
contradiction?
some. Yeah, because it's analytically true given what I mean by necessary and contingent. If something's contingent, what do you say?
Oops. Sorry, guys. That'll be the end of that cross-examination.
Dang, that was a quick 9 minutes.
Yep.
That was good.
Marcel, now it's time for your first cross-examination, and it will start whenever you say your first word.
Okay, let's go back to the explanation thing. So you posited two entities, right, which are separate, which are different. So we're gonna need some relation R tying them together, or else there's no explanation being done. There's no connection between the two things. So this is gonna invoke either some regress of explanations, because the explanation, the relation R that explains the unity between the first the explanation and the thing being explained, either is going to be explained by relation R, and that relation R needs some explanation, and that can go like either infinitely, or it might terminate finitely. It's called a Bradley regress, if you want to know the philosophical term. And either your argument is going to entail some arbitrariness or some infinite regress. What do you think?
Okay, so I need an argument for that claim given I have, first of all, I want an argument for the dichotomy. That's just step one. Let's just get an argument for that dichotomy, that I'm committed to these two options.
What do you mean?
It depends on how just made the claim that I have two options. Well, look, you keep making this problem where
it's gonna depend on how.
Can I respond, please? So
wait, whose time is it?
It's your talking time, but you've asked me a question, so.
Yeah, but this is irrelevant. Again, so how do you define relation, real quick?
Okay, right, but I want to flag, you charged me, but then you didn't even have, you didn't have a definition.
I reclaim my time.
Okay.
Okay, stop doing this rhetoric. Answer the question. What is a relation?
What's the relevance? Because I didn't use the term.
Again, so are you saying the two entities are distinct? And what do you mean by explained there?
Okay, so once again, so an explanation is just any entity X such that Y could not exist without X. That is, the existence of Y is conceptually dependent on
so
X.
Are X and Y tied?
When you say tied, what's being said there?
Is there any connection to X and Y?
Connection in an ontically committing sense or what?
Could be.
There's a conceptual connection given that if you don't have one, then the other is impossible. So you can have that type of connection.
What do you mean conceptual connection?
Well, given that if you don't have X, it will be logically impossible to have Y. So if you want to say that's a connection, depends, but you'd have to define your terms.
No, you define your terms because you're using your terms.
I didn't use the term connection or relation, to be clear.
You already used, like you already said, for any entity X, it's going to entail some Y, right?
I didn't say entail. I said any entity
No,
X.
I already asked you. Stop. I already asked you. Is it a logical entailment? You already said yes. Now you can't backtrack.
I want to be clear. I didn't use the terms, but to answer your question, it is a logical entailment in the sense, once again, that to not have one, there will be a contradiction. Okay.
Okay, that's not the issue. I'm asking for this like causal notion that you're trying to invoke. Like when you have two You agree that
It's not
the
causal
two
again. It's a
entities are
modal.
not
It's
the same.
modal. It's not
Stop.
causal.
This
You're
is my
straw
time.
manning. You're straw manning.
Stop. Whether it's modal doesn't matter. When you posit two entities, either modally or non-modally, right? These two entities are distinct. Do you agree? Yes or no?
Only if it's an external explanation.
Are they
Given,
just yeah?
you can't just ask a
Given
question. You
they're
got to allow me
external.
to expound. I'll let you expound on your answers. I'll be concise. So
All right.
the
All right.
only talk about distinct is given it's an external explanation. That's where we bring in distinctness. You can have two. One second, I'm almost done. You can have two objects which are identical and they could do explaining. It just wouldn't be external. Go ahead.
Okay. What is a non-external explanation?
You just take the same thing, but you just remove the dependence relation. So just take something
What does
like,
that mean?
well, you can have X and Y, but if one fails, it doesn't therefore follow that it will be a contradiction. But externally, it would be.
How is that an explanation?
Well, that's just what I mean by explanation.
Yeah, I'm asking for clarification.
What needs to be clear? How is it
What's the
explanation? This is
difference
just
between the two?
okay, no problem. The difference between the two is that one would entail a logical contradiction. The other would not.
So there wouldn't be a logic. Okay. So are you saying if we have some possible world where there is P, Y wouldn't follow?
If you have
How's that?
if you have a possible world where there's P, Y wouldn't follow. Okay,
Yeah,
what's being you need to fill in the variables. That's a crazy
you
ambiguous
said for
question.
any entity X,
Uh-huh.
Y would follow necessarily, right? For Y, or else you're gonna have a contradiction. That's gonna be an external explanation. And I asked
No,
you.
maybe let me read it again. You're not understanding.
Mm-hmm.
For any entity X such that Y could not exist without X, that is, the existence of Y is conceptually dependent on X. Okay, that's what's being said there.
Y cannot exist. Okay, the existence of Y is dependent on X. That's what you're saying.
It's modally dependent, to be clear.
What does that mean?
A modal dependence is a type of dependence where, once again, the non-instantiation of one of the, you want to say, conjuncts would result in the other conjunct being impossible. This is my third time telling you this.
How is that any different from like necessity?
Okay, well, necessity talks about entities being instantiated in all possible worlds and being eternal. So there's definitely a distinction there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. How is that? Okay, you agreed that this is a logical entailment?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, cool. Right. And to finish my questioning, since I have 2 minutes, let's go back to what is invoked. Can you repeat premise 2?
Yeah, no problem. So premise 2 reads as this. The set of all contingent states could possibly have some external explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like an argument for that?
Could possibly have some external explanation. Sure. I mean, I can grant that.
Oh, okay. Well, to be clear for the rec, are you granting premise 1 and premise 2?
No, I'm granting premise 2. Hold on.
Do you want me to motivate premise 1?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So, if no necessary thing is logically possible, then the set of all contingent states couldn't possibly have an external explanation. Now, why think this? Okay, well, given LEM, we know an entity is either contingent or necessary. I can motivate that too also. Now, given we accept the dichotomy, and given that the external explanation could not be of what is being explained, another contingent thing, and you have a dichotomy of two, your option is that thing being external. That thing being necessary. Now, if a necessary thing isn't even possible, well, guess what? You couldn't have an external explanation for the set of contingencies, given that the other option is not even an option. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. We'll break this down.
But before that, I'll ask you some clarifying questions.
Mm-hmm.
If you're positing some necessary being and you have some logical entailment, how does that not cause some model collapse?
I explicated this on the onset when I said, look, I see you want to take the modal collapse route, but that won't work
Mhm.
given that you get modal collapse under some type ontically committing causal relation. Maybe there are other type notions, but given this is just a modal relation, you'd have to
Mhm.
give an argument for there being modal collapse in a modal sense. I don't see how that follows.
What do you mean?
Yeah, because this type explanation isn't ontically committing in a sense where box Y, therefore like box X or something like. You
Finish your
don't.
last statement.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions?
Like time is over, but yeah.
And then
Well,
okay, with that, yeah, we'll end it there. And that was the first cross-examination period where OG Kylo and Marsal cross-examined. Now we're gonna move on to the second cross-examination period, and then after that, we're gonna then move on to closers. So Kylo, you get 9 minutes,
uh-huh.
and your 9 minutes starts whenever you say your first word.
Okay, so I kind of planned it's like I'm gonna take my first two to get you a necessary being and a creative universe. So I want to quickly run through the argument. I want you to tell me quickly which premise you need me to give an argument for. I'm gonna give an argument for every premise, and I'm gonna try to give an argument for this being the creator before our last crosses. So.
Sure. You can go through premise one again, just to clarify. One more thing.
Okay.
You're just saying this is modal. This does not commit you ontologically at all.
Yes. Well, it's modal. It's doesn't commit you ontologically in the sense, in the explanation sense, where necessarily box or box P, therefore box Y, or some sense like that. But if you think, if you think you get modal collapse, just give an argument for that during your cross exam, and I'll go over how you don't get modal collapse. But let me just give an argument for every one of these premises right quick. So, premise one, I'll say it again. If no necessary thing is logically possible, then a set of all contingent states couldn't possibly have an external explanation. Okay, so let's just do a quick Q&A session. Do you agree with the dichotomy something is either contingent or necessary?
Can you repeat the question?
Do you agree with the dichotomy something is either contingent or necessary?
No.
No, so what's the third option?
You can have like analyticity.
How is that a third option, please, sir?
It's not the same as like contingency.
Define analyticity.
Normally you would write this on like model terms. It's gonna be something like P and Q.
Okay.
No, P and not P, no P and
Let me type this out right
hold
quick.
on.
So
I need to remember this.
Please be concise, given I have 9 minutes. P and Q.
No, wait, hold on. No. I need to remember this. But you can have like analytical statements which are like tautologies.
Okay, can those analytical statements fail to exist or fail to be true?
What do you mean?
What's not clear there? It's a very simple question.
If they're tautologies, they're not gonna fail to exist.
Okay, so they're necessary, right?
They are. They can be necessary. Yeah.
No, they are necessary. Yeah, thank you.
Necessary, yeah,
so
cool.
you get the second option. You didn't get out of the dichotomy. So I'm gonna move on now. So
wait, you can have also. Wait, hold on. You can
no,
also
I reclaim my time. I reclaim my
He's
time.
reclaiming his
Yeah,
time.
stop.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you can go over that. You blundered. You said it's necessary. We're gonna move on. So once again, given that the external explanation cannot be of one of the two, it's gonna have to necessarily be, or if it's possible. And I don't even want to move on if you see. I don't like to do that because if you actually have real contentions, I want to break it down, but I don't have time. So,
all right.
Listen, if no necessary thing is possible, you couldn't have an external explanation. I'm going to move on from premise one. Okay. Premise two, the set of all contingent states could possibly have some external explanation. Would you agree with that? Yes or no?
Premise two, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So then you will get conclusion one, therefore some necessary thing is possible. Would you agree with that?
Some necessary thing is possible?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, perfect. And then, so premise three, a necessary thing is either impossible or necessary. Would you agree with that?
A necessary thing is impossible. Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's be clear. given that you have accepted conclusion one, a necessary thing is possible, and you've accepted that the dichotomy is either impossible or necessary, but it can't be impossible given you just accepted it's possible.
Modally?
What
Yeah.
happened?
I said modally, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So you agree there some necessary thing is necessary, correct?
Some necessary thing is necessary. That sounds
that-
like a tautology, yeah.
That's right. Okay, perfect. So we've just gotten to there being a necessary being. Now let's get to that being the creator of the universe really quickly. So premise one, there exists a necessary being. Premise two, by definition, a contingent being is something that could fail to exist or doesn't exist in all possible worlds. An external explanation is a being that every contingent being depends on for its existence. Conclusion one, therefore, the necessary being explains every contingent being. Premise three, by definition, a creator is any entity that explains every member of a set of entities. Conclusion two, therefore, the necessary being is a creator of the universe. I'll go over any definitions and any premise that needs justification. Let me know.
Can you just repeat premise by premise? I was writing it.
Premise one, there exists a necessary being. Premise two, by definition, a contingent being is something that could fail to exist or doesn't exist in all possible worlds. And an external explanation is a being that every contingent being depends on for its existence.
I don't agree with premise two.
Okay, I'll motivate that. So, how do you want to go about this? Because premise two is kind of, it's just analytic, to be honest, give it the definitions. But so you've accepted that these, basically what's being said here is, could not exist without is understood in terms of like some modal sense, not by causation again. And by definition, a contingent being could fail to exist. And if there is a necessary being, which exists in all possible worlds, then by the modal definition, every contingent being exists only in worlds where the necessary being exists. Therefore, by some analytic definition of explain, and I will define that for you if need be, then the necessary being explains all contingent beings.
So then, just to clarify, the necessary being doesn't exist in all possible worlds?
Of course it does. Why would it not?
Okay. So you're gonna have some issues. What you already said, it's logical entailment. I already tried to approach this.
Can you flag the issues really
if you
quickly?
have like contingent, sorry,
what are the issues, to be very clear?
a modal collapse.
Okay, what is the art? I need you to do one of two things. First of all, I need you to define modal collapse, and then I need you to give a sound argument for my position in telling a modal collapse. Go ahead.
Okay, a modal collapse is going to be when you have some strong PSR, mainly saying for any event there has to be some explanation which is entailing. And when you have such PSR, such principle, if you have some
Wait, stop right there. You think you didn't tell me what modal collapse was. You just talked about PSR.
I need to build up to there.
Wait, before you do that, define modal collapse. Simpliciter.
Modal collapse is when everything becomes necessary, basically.
Okay, modal collapse is the view where everything becomes necessary. Okay, continue with the argument for my position in telling that.
All right, so I'm gonna go back to where I was. As I was saying, if you have some strong PSR or like some logical entailment, and you have some external explanation which is necessary in all possible worlds for any contingent fact, all the contingent facts are going to be necessary.
Okay, that's begging the question. That's the claim, buddy. I said one second. To be clear, I want you not to recapitulate the claim, but to actually give motivations to believe that claim is one which is entailed in my view. That's what I want.
What do you mean by that?
What do I mean by an argument, dude?
Okay. So if we have a logical entailment, if the PSR is motivated by a necessary being, then the conclusion must follow necessarily.
Okay, wait, stop. I'll reclaim my time. So, just to be quickly,
Um,
damn, it's fine.
with
Whatever.
with that, we do have to conclude there. Yep. And Mersalt, we're gonna go to your cross-examination, and then after this, we're gonna then move on to closers. So I'm setting up the
Okay.
timer, and your cross-examination starts whenever you say your first word.
Okay. Now, let's go back to the your definition of like modal, right? When you explain premise one of like your first argument, you said all of this is not ontologically committing, correct?
What term did I say is not ontologically committing? The explanation or the modal sense?
The external explanation.
Yeah, some explanation. Yeah, correct.
So the external explanation itself, like, is it some being?
The necessary being is a being, correct.
Are we talking some modal instantiation?
We're talking, so I can tell you what I take existence to be if that's what you're asking.
No, yes or no?
Well, the question is not clear. You said modal instantiation.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of trivial. Yeah, it's a necessary being. Yeah.
Yeah, just like, yeah, when I say modal, I'm just talking schematically.
But I don't think the being is purely conceptual. That's why I was going to give you my thesis of existence.
Well, you haven't. But so far, we only have like a modal term, which is going to be some conceptual definition for a necessary being and how it follows for like the explanatory or like the external explanation. So I'll be charitable and give you like some of my time for you to give how this being actually exists.
Okay, so no problem. Given that you've accepted, I'll be concise too. Given that you've accepted that there's a necessary being, let's just talk about that. So the necessary being analytically exists in all possible worlds. What?
I did not agree that there is an external
recording.
Like there exists,
buddy.
Wait, there exists. Yeah, but there's a difference between like you already clarified. Ontic commitments are not the same as like modal instantiation. You already clarified that.
Do you want to define what it means to ontically be instantiated, please?
Ontically, which is going to be exists actually.
Okay, what does it mean to exist actually and not to exist actually?
Exists actually, which means, okay, exists actually, it's like trivial, like the way you exist.
But I don't see how you're saying it's trivial given you
I don't
want to
know
make
if you can't understand this, like it's
no,
pretty clear.
it's not that I can't understand. It's that.
By the way, this is my time. I claim my time.
Go ahead.
So when I already clarified what existing actually is, I'm just telling you it's gonna be existing the same way you exist, not conceptually, but like the same way the wall in front of you exists. That's what I mean. If you don't have any understanding for like this debate, which is going to be a philosophical debate, if you don't understand this, I can't help you.
Can you give a definition, not an example?
What do you mean? It's primitive.
It's primitive. Okay.
Yeah.
Continue, please.
So if you don't have any concept of like existing actually, I can't help you. This is like a rigorous philosophical debate. You should be knowing what this is. But going back to you. Now, how are we going to reconcile this?
Reconcile what? Given that...
Because you need to provide, like the proposition is God exists. What do you mean by God exists there?
Okay, thank you. So I was trying to do this 3 minutes ago. So I take existence. Now, I do take existence to be a kind of primitive notion like you as well, but I can expound on my thesis a little more. So I take it to be like the referent there is instantiated in some possible world, but I have distinguishing features. You have necessary entities, contingent entities, and impossible entities. Necessary entities exist in all possible worlds, and that's just to say they're instantiated. Contingencies are instantiated in some, but not all, and impossible entities are instantiated in none.
Are you a modal realist?
No, I'm a fictionalist about modalities.
Okay, so all of those, like so far your argument is just like in fiction mode. You haven't
I'll
just
explain
like.
why that's not true.
Hmm.
So you
Why
would
is it?
agree, no problem. You would agree that the current actual world is not merely a possible world, but it is the actual world, right?
What does that mean?
What's not clear there?
Um, when you use the word like some possible world, but an actual world.
Okay,
What do you mean?
so you need clarity on the distinguishing features of possible worlds and actual worlds?
No, I need clarification on your like the terms that you're using.
Okay, so a possible world is a way that the actual world could have been. Now, is that a little bit more clear?
A way that the actual world could have been.
That is correct. And we can model these using
So are
truth
you
tables.
asking me, am I in a world which is a world that could have been the same way that it is?
I'm
I
asking
don't
you,
understand what that could
I'm
mean.
asking you, do you agree that you're in a world where if you plug that into a truth table, okay, because look, so what it means to be possible is that in at least one evaluation, the proposition is not outputted as false. I don't know if you take some non-contradictory view, we can go over that. But you agree you're in a world that's not impossible, right?
Sure.
And you agree something's either possible or
But what do you
impossible.
mean by impossible, just to clarify?
Impossible is the type of notion where, let's just say in all evaluations, the proposition is outputted as false.
What proposition?
You could just take the proposition, this is the actual world, and if all evaluations that's outputted as false, that proposition is impossible.
How is this any different from epistemic commitments?
What's the relevance relation?
What do you mean?
I don't see how that pertains to the current dialectic.
Because we're supposed to be establishing God's existence, ontological.
Yeah, right. And when
Right.
I ask you to explicate what it means to ontologically exist, you said it's primitive. So I'm now giving you my thesis of existence.
Are you giving me some epistemic thesis?
Well, obviously there's like
Yes or no?
Yes, but that's duh. We're conversing.
How is that relevant to the debate?
You brought up epistemology
I
talk,
already
not me.
clarified in my opening. Already clarified.
I'm
There's
trying
gonna
to
be
tell you
some
how the being is
difference between.
ontically committing, by the way.
Hmm?
Yeah,
Sorry?
the being is not merely conceptual. I'm giving you reasons to believe that.
Well, so far you're just talking with epistemic limitations, right? You haven't given an argument when it pertains to ontology.
Okay, so do you want to use your thesis or your notion of ontology or my notion?
No, I want to use your notion.
Perfect. So
don't use your epistemic notion, though.
do you remember? Can just make sure you're tracking. What was my definition of existence?
Huh? Your definition?
Yes, please.
Your definition of existence, you said, similarly, you take it to be primitive.
No, so I said I do take it to be primitive, but I further expound saying that's what it means to exist is that the reference is instantiated in a possible world, and then I want to expound on distinguishing.
How is that primitive then?
How is it primitive?
What does primitive mean?
I take primitivity to be a type of notion where you cannot furtherly expound in the sense where it's not going to be.
Did you just furtherly expound?
I didn't finish. In the
this
sense,
is my time. I reclaim my time.
But you don't want to straw man.
Did you furtherly explain existence?
No, not in the sense that I was going to say. You got to let me finish.
Yes or no?
No, let me finish, please. The reason why is because you get instant circularity. And when I say furtherly expound in a sense where you don't get this type of instant circularity. And the reason on my notes you get instant circularity, just given instantiation brings back in the word existence. All I'm saying is my view of existence has more explanatory power, given I can tell you what it means in a strict sense.
You just contradicted yourself. You already know. It's already my time. But
we got 16 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Just to clarify, he already conflated epistemic notions and ontological notions. So far, the argument was given to be by a fictionalist when it comes to modal entities.
And is that going to be it?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Cool. With that, we're going to move on to...
yeah.
Oh, you good? Oh, okay. With that, we're going to move on to closing statements. It's going to be 3 minutes each. And then after that, we're going to take a couple audience questions, and then the judges will render their decision. And also, stick around, everybody. There is going to be a poll voting. So we're going to be deciding this debate by judges' vote and also audience vote. And then after, the next debate is going to be Missy MX versus J-Rob on the Christian God is logically possible.
Alrighty, I'm
So,
assuming he goes first, right?
since you're the affirmative, you would go first
Well,
for your closing.
given that I did my opening statement first, wouldn't he give his closing statement
No,
first?
you give
Um,
the closing first.
yeah, I just follow the same order, but like it's up to you guys. We could do
Marisol,
either
do you
way.
mind going first?
No, I mind actually. Wait, hold on.
Okay, no problem. So, let's see. In my closing statement, I just want to kind of recap. The topic was God's existence. I'm really hurt that we didn't have more time. I didn't even get to the omni properties, given that it took a long time for him to get to my first stage. But let's just break down a few things. So, in the discussion, again, he agreed to there being a necessary being. Now, I see that's his tactic or what he wants to harp on is it's being purely modal. Well, he wants to say, I don't believe you've established something ontically committing. I'm saying this is false. Given my thesis of existence, I can give you reasons to believe this being exists in a sense which is not purely conceptual. He says that he takes existence to be primitive and gave an example. That's not really informative. You're not telling me why I think my definition of God or my argument doesn't establish something ontically committing. Given when I ask you, what does that mean? You say it's primitive. Well, if it's primitive, you can't further expound. What's even being said there at that point? Now, my definition when I was saying it was primitive is in the sense where you get this type instant circularity, but you still have some explanatory work in the sense that you can conceptualize what it means to exist rather than not. You don't just get nothing, right? So that's what was being said there. He wanted to say that was a contradiction. It's not. It was some ambiguity, and I explicated that. Let's see what else I want to point out. So he accepted a necessary being, and once again, like I didn't get a chance to go over. Yeah, I also did give an argument for this being the creator of the universe. Now I want to talk about his objections and the arguments for both stage one and stage two. He didn't refute any premises. He only asked for definitions the whole time, and I gave every definition he asked for. We got like no premise was contended in this whole debate. Let me think about some other points. He like no defeaters were made. He didn't show any premises to be false. I established there being a necessary being. I established it being the creator. I want to say I established omni properties just given the time constraint. That's going to be a lesson learned for the next debate. Gonna need more time for these type discussions. I don't want to be too long winded. I just want to flag. I basically did my job here. We're in an argument. I justified every premise. I gave every definition. I responded to every refutation. Yeah, I won't be long-winded. That will just be my closing. Go ahead.
Okay, with that, thank you for your candor. Now we're gonna move on to the next person.
Okay.
Marcel, you're gonna get 3 minutes. It starts when you say your first word.
Okay. Before I start the closing statement, I will clarify what just happened. First off, I just only accepted a conceptual or like modal notion of like a necessary being. The argument wasn't complete by my interlocutor when it comes to the attributes of like omniscience and omnipotence and being existing in the actual world. So let me move to my closing statement. At the beginning of the debate, I proposed a simple and fair standard. We're not deciding whether God is an interesting idea, like what happened in the debate, or whether God can be defined in sophisticated philosophical language, like what my interlocutor did. We're asking for something more precise. Is God metaphysically necessary? In other words, does reality itself become impossible without God? And because if something truly is necessary, removing it should not merely leave unanswered questions. It should lead to a contradiction. And I will gladly say my interlocutor has not fulfilled any of these duties. Throughout the discussion, we have heard many important philosophical concepts like dependency, contingency, necessity, like external explanation, existence, and other meanings. But notice something crucial. At no point we were given a clear example of a specific feature of reality that becomes logically incoherent if God does not exist. We heard explanations, but explanations is not a necessity. We heard that God provides like some external explanation which is logically enticing, but unfortunately that argument was not about about the actual world, but instead some schematic world. And by that, I just, and to be clear, rejecting the claim that God is necessary is is not the same as like rejecting the claim that an ultimate. If I accept, like for example, a being who's necessary, that doesn't commit me necessarily to an omniscient and omnipotent God. He hasn't provided any arguments, like I already clarified. So to just end, so what I'll finish by saying it simply means that the argument presented so far has not shown any divine mind can occupy the role of the foundation. Thank you.
Okay. And with that, that's going to conclude the OG Kylo versus Mersault debate on the topic "A God Exists." That was a really good debate. Thank you both for your candor. I know a lot of people in the comments were wanting me to say the word candor because I used to say it before. But with that, now I'm going to start a poll, and we're going to bring people up for audience comments, questions,
Well,
critiques, and
do the
concerns.
judges go before
Uh,
the guests?
they probably need time to like establish their decision making. Um, so yeah, like I'll give them some time. We'll bring up some guests, and then we'll run a poll. And then also, just a reminder: whenever I bring up some guests, this is not the time to start debates on the panel. We need to get through all of the people who are trying to ask questions. So I might set a timer for like either 1 minute or 2 minutes, and we need to make it quick for everybody. Please be considerate of other people. Don't start another whole debate on the panel when you come up. It's comments, questions, concerns, or critiques, and let's keep it snappy. So with that, I'll bring up our first guest. We'll do one at a time. Let's just bring up one person at a time. So I think first in line is Please Seek God.
Yes. I'd like to give a question for both, so it's maybe a little bit better. How do both parties feel about Pascal's wager? I'm not here to debate it or anything. I just want the opinions of both.
Marisol, you can go first.
I'm unconvinced, if that's what you're asking for. Like Pascal's wager, at least the way I understand it, supposes that there's this like one way or like one weight, one being that like one possibility that a God exists, and if you follow that you would not be condemned to hell. But on the contrary, in real life, there are many religions, many claims about different gods. Therefore, that argument, I don't find it compelling or reasonable.
Okay.
Just choose one. Okay, go ahead.
Just to be clear for the audience, try to make sure the questions are as related to the debate as possible. But just to answer that given question, I think Pascal's wager is thought provoking at most. I wouldn't have much more to say than that. I mean, just given as many gods there are, you'd have to, kind of already believe there's only one God. But that's all I'll be saying for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I do still have 40 seconds, so maybe with my 40 seconds, I'll just say that I suppose in the way I may see it might be different, but it, I feel as if it would always be the safer bet to at least choose one out of all the religions than none. But I suppose it would all depend on the probability. And I've actually debated, not debated necessarily, but talked to the control about this, and we've just gone down to the probability is just so low, it may not be something to be worried about. So I'll drop. Thank you for letting me have my question. Good day to all of you. God bless you.
Oh yeah, good to see you. This is also Coco, or the Controversial Compass, on the Day of Debates account. But I think I've talked to you before. Then I'm gonna grab the next person. It's gonna be ISO, I think. And yeah, go for it. Oh, by the way, guys, the poll is up, but I think there's like this pink weird bubble that's like covering it. But once it passes, the clipboard is in your left corner. It's gonna be a blue clipboard. You can vote for who won. But go ahead, ISO. You got it.
I was gonna ask Kylo what exactly his meta-ontological commitments were, such that some modal claim could lead to something that's ontologically committing.
Well, given that's what it means to exist in this sense, is that the referent there is instantiated in a possible world, and the notion's kind of analytic, but that's all that's being said there. This onto commitment is just one to say it's instantiated, and the notion of instantiating kind of just brings back in the term existence.
So to be modal is to exist in your meta-ontological view. I thought I was trying to see, like,
to be
you asked
modal
them-
is to exist. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, you said it was analytic, right? I'm sort of curious as to how you would hash out existence, right? Like to exist, what it means to exist. If what you're saying is that what it means to exist is to exist in some fashion modally, right? And from there you're inferring that
So
God
what it
exists.
means to exist is to be instantiated in a possible world.
Okay, so it is just analytic. That's just the way that goes.
Yeah, literally, it's analytic, correct?
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay. And that's it for your time, ISO, or do you have anything else? Oh, okay. And then with that, we're gonna move on to the next person, Constantine. Oh yeah. The poll is up there, but like for some reason TikTok's doing this weird thing where it's showing me like every live person that has gotten a gift. There's the pink little thing, the pink bubble on the screen that's covering the poll, and so I'm just waiting for it to kind of like stop. But okay, go ahead.
Hey, great job, both of you. So, Marisol, you may or may not have said this, so I just need to clarify. Did you say that God was necessary, but only conceptually?
No, like that's how Kylo defined the terms. I didn't say God. I didn't. I talked about the metaphysical necessity that I accepted.
Okay, thanks. That was the only clarifier I had. I thought I heard otherwise. I appreciate it. Both of you did a great job.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. And yeah, with that, we're gonna move on to, let's see, the next person on the list. We got Yeah.
Yo, what's up?
What's up? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, Coco. Anyways, Kylo, I have a question. So you said that your position does not commit you to a modal collapse, but I think maybe you have some sort of non-entailing understanding of what equivalence, not equivalence, sorry, explanation means. So, like, just to pre-fire my question with some context, I take it that when you have X explains Y, the explanans entail the explanandum, and if we have it that X is necessary and necessarily entails Y, which is just to say it explains Y, then I would just say that that would create a modal collapse. And I just wonder, like, how you avoid that.
Well, given that's...
By the way, really quick, the poll is right here. You can now see it. It's this blue clipboard on the left side of your screen. It constantly gets covered up by the pink bubble, but whenever it's free, feel free to tap on it.
Just make sure we're voting on the poll. So, yeah, so regarding this modal collapse talk, right, this is a very common mistake. All is being said here is not a causal relation.
It doesn't have to be causal.
Well, given it's a modal relation, you can have Y not to be instantiated and X still be necessary. It's just saying if Y were to be instantiated, S exists already. S is required for Y.
No. I'm taking it that explanation generally just means that
would you be equivocating on my definition?
Yeah, that's why I asked what your definition is.
Oh, well, got you. I could define it for you one more time. Cool. So, an explanation in this sense, I'm using external, to be clear. It's just any entity X such that Y cannot exist without X. That is, the existence of Y is conceptually dependent on X.
Okay, so when you say that X explains Y, you're just saying Y is conceptually dependent on X?
Correct. Yeah.
Is that a necessary dependency, or is it?
It's a logical necessity, correct?
And I'm assuming that you would not take that to be like you wouldn't take X to be a sufficient condition for Y, then, right?
Would X be a sufficient condition for Y? Being said that if X is, well, no. I think I understand what you're asking.
Yeah. If that's not the case, I mean, we'll have to talk about it more because I'm out of time now, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, we're gonna move on to the next guest. It's gonna be Friction KG. Yeah, go for it. Please. Okay. Moderators, could you block that guy? Cause like, what was that? Yeah, please block that guy from all future events.
That's Destroyer, bro.
Wait,
that wasn't him. He was just a troll, bro.
No, that was really just a.
Can't be him.
Yeah.
I don't care, bro.
Wait, why? Who brought him up again?
What?
Yo, moderators.
Okay, hold on. I'll do it myself then. Please don't moan on the live. We're trying to host professional events. Thank you. I never thought I would have to ask that. But it happens, I guess. Oh, do we have another guest? Oh, actually, that's all the guests that we have. Nobody else has. Oh, okay, Anthony. Oh, sorry. I was wondering why it didn't let you up. I hit like accept.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, sorry. Hi, I'm Anthony. Hi, all. No, I didn't think I'd come up so quick, so I hopped out. So, what are we talking about? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
All right, buddy. Take care. Have a good day.
Bro, yeah. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna disconnect you. Sorry, guys. For everyone who's coming up, we're basically doing comments, questions, critiques, or concerns on the debate that just happened. A God exists between Kylo and Mersal.
Can we check if the judges are ready?
Yeah, judges. If you're good to go, then we can do that and then get ready for the next debate.
Yeah, I'm ready. I can start.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go second.
Okay. And then Mob will go after. Go
Right, so yeah, I just wanted to say well done to both debaters. It's always easier to judge somebody else than be judged, so keep that in mind, especially when people are criticizing in the comments and when we're going to be critical of you. Just keep that in mind. I respect you guys for even, taking up this debate. So there are a few things that could probably be analyzed in detail. I just wanted to focus on the main thrust of the conversation. So Kylo started off by affirming a modal/conceptual argument rather than a causal one. He seemed to be relying upon, a notion of counterfactual dependence. And I think that Mersal was right to press on that initially, asking for an account of the tie between this necessary explanation and how it relates to the contingent facts that it's supposed to explain. So I think a good example to illustrate this would be if we consider somebody who takes a Platonist view when it comes to abstract object like numbers and sets. It's going to be the case that on such a view, there's no possible world in which contingent concrete phenomena could exist without these necessary abstracta. But presumably, we're not going to want to say that these necessary abstracta provide the explanatory role that something like a necessary concrete foundation that has divine properties would. And I think that there wasn't an adequate explanation of precisely the relationship, the explanatory role that this necessary foundation would play in order to be able to provide an adequate account. It's not enough just to say that it's going to exist alongside these contingent phenomena in every possible world in which they exist. So I think Mersal was right to press on that. But I think that as the debate went on, Kylo was able to direct the conversation and take control of the conversation and was able to trip Mersal up a little bit. So he got him to say that analytic truths aren't going to be captured by necessity, by necessary truths, and then he got him to recant on that. I think Mersal engaged with certain points that were brought up that were really tangential to his main line of reasoning, and he should have pressed that critique more. perhaps by giving an examples. He could have given the example that I gave about somebody who's a Platonist with respect to abstract objects, and how there needs to be some relevant difference between a necessary foundation, how it relates to the contingent phenomena that it's supposed to explain, rather than merely just positing it must exist alongside with them. So yeah, I guess for those reasons, I'm going to have to end up giving it a draw. So both brought up some good points. Both could have fleshed out their points better. Both, could have answered the central concern, I think, in more detail, and could have given a better justification in terms of, Kylo could have given a better justification in terms of fleshing out why we should posit such a necessary foundation, and precisely in terms of its relationship to these contingent phenomena. And then Mersault should have just pressed on that point even more rather than engage with some tangential concerns. So that would be my overall analysis. But once again, good job to both of you.
Okay, who'd you score for? Who'd you say
So
won
I said,
overall?
so I'd have to give it a draw.
Oh, you're giving it a okay. Okay. I might come back to you, but it depends how the vote ends up falling down. But okay.
Okay, sure.
But go ahead, Kaysen, go ahead.
Yeah. I won't have as much to say as Peter. I think that, like what he said, there's a lot of good things about this debate. Some pretty interesting conversation, but I think that there's a lot of issues as well. But I can't bring the majority of those up because obviously what I deem to be an issue is just parasitic upon my own views. So I'll just say that in the beginning, I think Mersault had a pretty good opening. Kylo, this isn't for him to, we shouldn't blame Kylo for this. There was obviously some misunderstanding somewhere, but he didn't actually give an opening. Really, he didn't give an argument in his opening. He mistook that to be like an opening where he kind of presents himself and stuff like that. So just in virtue of the opening, because I graded this on a kind of a rubric in total of 15 points, I gave Mersault a 3 and then Kylo a 1, and then basically in terms of all the cross-examination stuff, I think Mersault has some good points. I think Kylo had some good points, but I ended up giving Kylo a 4 on each of those and then Mersault a 3 on each of those. So it actually ends up being a tie as well for me.
Okay. Okay, so we got 2 ties. So depending on Mob's decision, Mob will break the tie basically. Whatever Mob says is going to be the winner. But Mob, what you got for us?
The fate of this debate is in my hands. All right. That kind of sucks because I was also thinking it was a tie. I think. Sorry, hold
Yeah,
I
go
think
for it.
I think Kylo's opening kind of sucked, so I gave the openings to Marisol. But I think Kylo did really. He did. I think he did a little better in the cross exams, so that's why I was gonna give it a tie.
Okay,
So,
but go ahead.
no, I don't know what you want to do now.
I mean, we could.
We
So
can just leave
basically,
it at a
guys,
draw. It doesn't matter.
I mean, the audience vote selected a winner, but
The audience
the
vote
judges
does
tied.
not matter, buddy. Hell. Marisol, do you want to leave it as a tie, or do you want them to review their?
It could be a tie, I guess.
We can leave it as a draw.
Okay, well, for the first debate, guys, we have a draw as the official result of the first debate. So it's 7:19. We've got a couple minutes. The second debate doesn't start until I think 7:30 or 35. It's going to be Missy versus J-Rob on is the Christian God is logically possible. So I guess we could take a couple more questions. Also, moderators, please use your moderators. You're doing a pretty good job. Please just be professional with how you're using your mod powers. I know that some of the moderators I'm not friends with, or maybe we're beefing or we're enemies, but we can coexist on this channel, put differences aside, and just try to be professional as possible. I'm going to give a warning, but I'm going to block or remove mod privileges if needed, right? This is not the channel to play on. This is not only my project, this is also OG Kylo's project and AR's project. So chill. If you have any personal beefs, just handle it outside of the live. And if I personally block somebody, let's leave them blocked. Let's not unblock and be like fucking around. That's not really cool. So, but yeah, we're gonna go on to anyone else. Probably gonna bring up some new faces, but
Bro, I kind of feel bad because I know Ty is so unsatisfying.
I mean that's totally fine. I mean like tie, yeah, like I mean I was shocked by the tie, but but Black Sty, what you got for me?
My question technically applies to the next debate of how are we measuring logical possibility?
That would just be pertinent to like you just asked that next debate time.
Okay.
Oh, is that all you got for us?
Unfortunately, I just got home, so I missed Kylo's debate.
Oh, no, that's totally cool. But okay. With that, we can move on to the next individual. So I'm gonna bring up some new faces. We got Cole. Yup.
Someone said bring up Yo to break
Hello.
the tie.
What up,
Hey,
Cole?
yeah,
What you got for us?
I was just wondering, given like the kind of semantical type of debate and the fact that it kind of ended in a draw, if what you guys thought about the idea of coming to some definition, agreed definition on God that is neutral, such as, a greatest possible being or highest possible evolver or changer or creator, and you would just argue about what those words meant then. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. You guys want to answer that?
I mean, okay, I guess. Well, we agreed on like basic terms. I think we should have like this debate would have been more interesting if we would have maybe Kylo could have given me like a more like a well defined term for explanation, and that's my bad also for not asking that question. But other than that, even the terms you said, Cole, when you use the word like highest or like great being, those terms are very vague, and I actually think Kyle's definition is less vague and more of a space where we could disagree on than such vague terms.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, that's why I want to hear what both of you have to say about it, for sure.
All right, Coco. You know what?
You want to change your vote?
I think the audience wants a winner. I think we
Oh
should give them
my
a big
God.
one.
Bro, we
Oh my
already
God! Never
Dude.
a day of debates history. We're having a judge change their
Bro,
vote.
we already agreed on a draw. Even if I was gonna be
Hey,
the person
don't
he picked, I don't even want to like. I
no
want to
back
keep.
talking me. I'll vote for Marisol.
Yo, we already established a draw, so. But I mean, like, I don't know.
Okay.
If you wanna, well, I think we already established a draw, so I would say we probably have to
That's
keep it
fine.
at that.
That's fine.
To be fair. But okay, with that, thank you, Cole. Cool. We're gonna move on to the next person. New faces.
Did Kylo want to answer that question?
Oh well,
my bad.
just a
Yeah,
quick answer. So I mean, given more precise definitions, yeah. I mean, the definitions you levied were not that they weren't the bad, like the worst. Just say like I think my definition suffice: a necessary being, which is a creator of the universe, which is omniscient, omnipotent. I think that's the typical notion. When you use this higher talk, you do get this weird type of scaling. I don't know what that's about, but I think you just might want to pick more precise language. But I see what you're saying about just getting some terms and debating on that. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just for me, it's a point of agreement that, you guys can be relational to that thing that you agreed on. And I didn't seem like there was any agreement at all on anything.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, it's the notion of explanation, at least within metaphysics is like a very contentious place, and I think it's both our faults. Kylo for not clarifying, me for not asking.
Well, I think you
What
guys
type
both
of
did great too. So like,
yeah, what type
so
of
props to you guys.
yeah.
Yeah. Also, really quick to answer a question in the comments, Court, you're asking if this is going to be posted anywhere. Yeah, like after the debate, I'm going to quickly run through and probably edit out. Like I'm going to get the entire TikTok live. I'm going to cut it up into the individual like debates, and I'm posting it on the Day of Debates YouTube channel. I'm posting it on my channel. I post to this other channel called the Black Atheist Coalition, ran by Volsi, and then I also post it to Right Here Right Now's channel, where on his channel he's collecting multiple people's debate clips, and it's a very awesome channel. So yeah, it's gonna I edit the videos and post it to like 4 different channels. You'll definitely see it. But and then yeah, we got you.
Yo.
Yeah,
All
you want to
right.
break the tiebreaker for
I
us?
do. Look, I just want to preface this with I think they both did very mediocre, if not incredibly bad on many things. But if you're a serious person and you watch this debate, Mersault got like proverbially just absolutely just anally destroyed. Kylo kind of dog walked him on rhetoric, while there was many very easy to poke conceptual issues within Kylo's position. Mersault really didn't take any chances to do that, and instead got hung up on like weird definitional things when he could have pressed, like, example, that one thing where Kylo went from the possibility of a necessary being to the necessity of a necessary being. There's obviously an S5 jump there that's implicit. You could have asked for that justification. That didn't happen. But since that didn't happen and Kylo's rhetoric was just way stronger and he had way stronger command over the debate, even though Mersault's introduction was way better, it's just very clear that Kylo won this debate. And I think the reason Mersault got voted as a tie is because everyone loves Mersault. He's a cute little French boy. But unfortunately, that was just very clearly Kylo won that debate. At least,
Go ahead.
least in my eyes, Kylo won that debate pretty clearly. So I think, at least rhetorically, Mersault got slammed.
And Marcel and Kylo, do you want to comment on that?
I mean, not much to say. I mean, it is sad that my opening wasn't as strong. It seems like that was a crux of the debate. In my head, I was like, let me just be quick, but maybe I should have put some more work into that. So that's respectable. And I think the time limit was a bad factor. We just didn't have a lot of time for me to break everything down. But that's all I had to say about that.
So we're clear, Mersault. I still love you, dude, but that was you. You got nervous or something, like.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, if you really want to know what happened, it's like, to be fair, I kind of procrastinated for this debate, so I was a bit nervous, but like I was like expecting like the usual explanation notions, right? When it comes to like metaphysical explanations, I was expecting some type of grounding relations, some I don't know, primitive notions. I don't know. I was expecting more of like a literature type of definition for the explanation, and Kylo's explanation didn't even match that at all. So I was kind of off script there. So I was improvising.
Yep. And really quick, let me grab my laptop charger, but I think that's going to basically be the end for the comments, questions, concerns, and critiques from the audience. We got to move on to the next debate.
GG's Marisol. Thank you to the judges. Appreciate you, Coco.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. GG's Kylo.
All right.
It was interesting.
I'm out.
And yeah, let me grab my charger real quick. Give me 1 sec. Okay. And with that, yeah, we're gonna need Missy. We're gonna need J Rob.
Wait, what are we doing? Am I judging this one too?
Oh no, there's no judges for this one. You guys are good.
Oh.
Megs was saying in the comment section we should probably pay you guys for this debate. um,
Like,
we'll
I
figure
gotta.
it. We'll
Thank
figure
you,
something
everybody,
out.
for the gift.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Peter. You're a newcomer. And yeah, like we typically try to bring professional debates to TikTok. I am Coco from the Controversial Compass. My account is also up here, right there. And yeah, I host debates. This page hosts professional formal debates, and then I also kind of do informal stuff, panel-wise, and all sorts of stuff like that. But yeah.
Okay, sounds very good. Thank you for having us up. Maybe in the future I could debate Jack Angstrike, Monkey Boy, and destroy it all at once on these.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we could probably yeah, we could probably make that
I
happen.
wouldn't platform that like me personally, Coco. You'd be like basically platforming Peter, like bullying 3 people at once, and it really wouldn't be like I don't know if that violates TikTok guidelines or something, but I'm pretty sure it does.
I think there's some individuals in there that we might not platform due to their past actions with text messages, but some of them we can platform, and we'll figure that out for sure.
Well, yeah, thank you for having us up. You guys have a good one.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you guys for judging. Thank you guys for judging. And yeah, I mean, Dave Debates is kind of broke right now. We might try to pay you guys. We'll figure that out.
Nah, don't worry about it. I don't care about that.
We've got enough gifts. Thank you.
Oh yeah. And with that, we're gonna start the next debate. I'm gonna drop you guys, but no hard feelings. But yeah, we're starting the next debate. And this could. And with that, yeah, we got 3 minutes till the next debate. I'll make like a short announcement, but yeah, if you guys can, please tap your screens, like the live, share with anybody who you think might be interested. We have like a lot of people showing up today. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys being here. Thank you for the gifts. The gifts do get reinvested back into the project. So typically how TikTok works is you get a bunch of gifts from live streams and you can put it into your PayPal account and use it for gas, projects. I use it for, maybe like editing or, getting like CapCut, whatever their plan is that you pay for, different things, right? Reinvesting into the project. And with that, we're going to get on to the next debate. It's going to be J-Rob versus Missy. The Christian God is logically possible. And yeah, I'm going to pull up their format, change the background, and then we'll be good to go. Yup. Let's see. Have it right.
How you doing, J-Rob?
I'm blessed. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I can't complain.